2. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Houston Rockets. They're projected for 34.5 wins, putting them in 10th place in the West. Over the offseason, they lost Robert Covington, Jeff Green, and Austin Rivers, but they picked up Christian Wood, DeMarcus Cousins, and Sterling Brown. And then, of course, we know there was the trade with John Wall and Russell Westbrook, and they just switched places and all that jazz. Their coach is Steven Silas. An injury of note is that Chris Clemens will be out for the season because of his right Achilles. And there's also the fact that James Harden wants to fucking leave. So that puts them up in the air. So.
Yeah, affirmative. He does want to leave very much. You start. What do you think about this whole situation?
It's definitely a shit show. But I think so. Like, just to go, because I think I'm like a weird person about this, because I personally think that they're gonna still if he stays for the whole season, they will still make the playoffs.
Okay.
And I
so
think
you're doing this assuming he's going to stay.
Yes, because basically because the organization has said, you know, we're okay with this looking ugly at first, but we're gonna make it. And he came back to practice or preseason or whatever and started doing shit. So, and I think he cares too much about his actual legacy and career to not want to go there and put numbers and I just can't imagine him not giving it his all, even though he wants to leave, because I think he cares about his stats and stuff too much.
So in Houston, around 25-ish years ago, a little bit longer than that, closer to 30 actually, Hakeem Olajuwon was in the similar position. They had flipped the whole team on him from the late 80s, where they had Ralph Sampson, and they made the 86 finals. They had beaten the Lakers. They were doing fine, and then they switched it was a whole team transition that had gone pretty much since that point into the early 90s, in which the Rockets were not super successful and losing a bunch of games. And much like James Harden, Hakeem Olajuwon wanted out. He wanted out of Houston, and the organization didn't let it happen, right? And that was I think that was like 92, I want to say, that kind of came to an end. And after that point, Hakeem won an MVP and brought 2 championships to Houston after he saw the whole thing through, right? Mm-hmm. It's a totally different era now. Yeah. When was the last time you saw, I mean, I guess Anthony Davis would be one, but inevitably he did get moved. But when was the last time you saw a superstar asked to be traded that didn't ultimately get traded? I mean, since Carmelo moved to New York,
Kobe Bryant.
It's pretty much been like that. You know?
Yeah, Kobe would probably be the only example I could think of.
In 08, 07?
Yeah, 07 when he it may have been, yeah, I think it was around 07, yeah, he asked to be traded and he wanted to go maybe the Bulls.
I know the Mavericks had said Cuban said he was going to try to trade for him.
Yeah.
So I know he was definitely on the block. I remember that. And then they inevitably just didn't do it, and they got 2 championships. They got the Powell deal.
Yeah.
So do you think this
the superstar kind of can show to, you know, like be still be valuable if you don't give him what he wants. The only thing the thing with Harden is I think he's a bitch. So for me, and I know this sounds weird because I know the first person we're gonna all think about is LeBron.
Yeah.
I say this, but no superstar has been given as much power as James Harden has.
Talk me through it.
So James Harden got Chris Paul. Well, got Dwight the fuck out of there. Then
that did happen.
Got Chris Paul to come in.
I remember that. They were calling each other. That was a big tampering situation.
Yeah, he pushed for that, and then they lose to Golden State in 2018, and then he says to the media, I know exactly what we have to do for like to make things work for the next year.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul got shipped out, and they got Russell Westbrook, and then this is the first time that they've said no to him, and now he wants to leave. Like like, and let me put and for people who look at LeBron James and just says this is the main guy, because everyone looks at LeBron as the sculpture of this whole
blueprint
having all the power.
Yeah.
But LeBron, he wanted Kyrie to stay.
Yeah.
He was begging the owner to hold off and let them try to mend the relationship. And he traded him before the preseason even started.
Yeah.
That we all know, we know about his whole Cleveland stint before Miami. Yeah. In Miami, his reason for leaving Miami was because, that Pat Riley didn't want to give him all the power. He didn't let his entourage onto the scene. And in LA, he doesn't really seem like I don't think he's the one calling all the shots. It seems like Rob Pelinka is doing all. So James Harden has definitely had significantly more power in his organization than any other superstar.
Also, I just think Daryl Morey worked really well with him.
Yeah,
and he's been an excellent GM for a very long time, and that's
I
think when Daryl Morey told the Rockets organization, "Hey, dude, I need a year off," and then immediately went to Philly, that was probably a sign that things were not going perfect in Houston.
Yeah,
and some shit was not working out.
Yeah, and I think D'Antoni was big because
another guy who left abruptly.
Yeah, well, everyone expected him to because everyone thought after the first round, because they went 7 games with OKC, which they shouldn't really have.
Sure.
And people thought if they lose this in the first round, D'Antoni's out, and then they get pretty much smashed by the Lakers, which it wasn't his fault. I don't think it was truly D'Antoni's fault for them losing. They had injuries. They had a guy want to fuck a bitch. All this other stuff. So I mean, it was not really his fault. I think, but
why did Chris Paul and James Harden have beef? What did Chris Paul say to James Harden? I can't remember. You know what he said? What did he say?
Wasn't something like a fat bitch or something?
Oh yeah, that he was a fat bitch and that he had man tits. That was it.
Yeah,
that's the one. So fast forward to the beginning of this preseason. It looks like the motherfucker's fat and he's got man tits. If I've ever seen him in my life. Look at this. Look at this. This is from a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
From last year, because I put that up for a reason, because I wanted to make a comparison. Because I also wasn't sure if I was bugging out,
Yeah.
But for comparison, we get James Harden. That's Westbrook.
You should have, the bubble too.
Look at even the arm size though.
Oh, it's the bubble. He had lost weight going into the bubble.
Yeah.
And that's crazy that because it's only 2-3 months, so that's a huge. It's for an athlete.
Dude, I'm not even. I completely agree. And it's like,
no, I just looked at the search engine. James Harden fat. It's funny.
I show no love to this man. Although I will say this, the first ever Big 3 tournament game in Brooklyn, me and the Fairy Podmother went and sat within the first 3 rows, and Harden came in late to the show, and you could first of all, he tried to hide under a hood like this, and his beard was just there was no. Must be awful for him in an airport. But the moment he walked into the arena, Lynn, do you remember this? It was like this wave of energy hit the crowd. Everyone was just like, "Ooh!"
Yeah, everybody stopped watching the basketball that was happening, and we're just trying to get a look at James Harden.
And watch this, and watch this motherfucker take his seat.
Yeah.
He is undoubtedly a super duper star.
Yeah.
But he is fat. He is out of shape, and I don't know why. I really don't. you can even see, this is way farther of a camera angle, obviously, but like you can see from here that he's a much smaller dude. Like he always has that chunky butt, but his arms are big. Like his beard looks like it's got that second spot underneath it. Like this is available. Big tummy man. Like looks like Chris Paul was right and a half. If you're asking me. And James Harden's really asking for every team to, when they get that phone call, just immediately hang up the phone. No one's gonna want to sign a guy who's not even coming into the season in shape.
Oh no, I disagree with that. I think teams like superstars. They know superstars win you championships.
Okay.
And I think that they look at him as all he's done in the 8 years that he's been in Houston he's produced, and I think they just look at him as he's going to produce for us, and like he doesn't have a significant injury. He does like he could lose weight, especially like they have Joel the 76ers. They have Joel Embiid, and he comes in out of shape all the time, and they deal with him. I'm sure they'd much rather deal with a 2-time. What is he? Is he a 2-time MVP or one-time MVP?
One time.
One time. Oh, okay, yeah, but he got screwed a few times, but I'm sure they'd rather have an MVP that comes out of shape and brings them to the playoffs.
His career in Houston, almost 30 points a game for his career in Houston.
And that's with like what 8-9 assists.
29.6 points a game, 7.7 assists, and almost 2 steals.
Yeah, and 6 rebounds. Yeah,
fucking. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah,
the only guy who can say I was up on Golden State in their prime, and he's the only guy that can do that. Didn't get it done, but he was up on them.
And in Houston, they're the only team in that those last 8 years that have been to the playoffs every single year.
Very true. Do you you like this team as constructed to hit that over and make the playoffs, considering Harden plays?
If he stays with them, if they don't, then they're definitely going under.
Yeah.
But if he stays, I don't see them not making the playoffs.
John Wall, after not playing a lot of basketball, he looks great.
Yeah, he still looks like
a little bit.
He's pretty explosive. Like that, I saw some plays where he was just like he had that burst still. So I don't know, like, but it's also the preseason, so.
I just think it's so ironic that him and Boogie Cousins are playing together after they both ruptured their Achilles.
Yeah.
I just think that that's so interesting. College bros back together.
Didn't they both have ACL injuries too?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure they had
both of them have fucked up legs. I'll tell you that much. And I just am surprised to see all these guys. Really, there's not one guy that's come back from injury of note that I've seen and been like, "Ooh, he's not the same yet." Like Kevin Durant, it looks a little bit slower, but like he still can play. Like he's still putting up his 25 a game, no problem.
Yeah.
But these guys, for the most part, look like they haven't really lost a step, which surprises me for how long they haven't been on the court. Yeah. I really like the pickup. I think John Wall will be good for them. He's a little bit better of a passer than Westbrook.
He's he's much less like he's not as selfish as Russell Westbrook is.
Sure.
A more willing passer.
Yeah. He's not just looking for the assists when he passes.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's more of a pass first point guard than Russell Westbrook ever was, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's let's go look at John Wall real quick, because I'm pretty sure he's led the league in assists at least one of these years. Multiple 18-10 seasons. Yeah, there we go. So before the injury, 23-10, 2 steals a game. Yo, what's up, Cat? 23 points a game, 10 assists, 2 steals, and that's just really the question: is how many minutes is he going to play a game, and will he finish the season? So that's my question with most of these guys, you know. But they're projected to be 10th.
Yeah.
I can see it. There's a bunch of these teams that I think have gotten better, right?
Yep.
We talked about the Pelicans. Phoenix has a chance to be a lot better because of their acquisition of Chris Paul. We're going to talk about them.
You're looking at the 19 season. You got to go one season over.
It doesn't make a difference. I'm just looking at teams, really. But I'll appease you. Fucking. Let's see. Memphis is on the fence. Blazers, they're gonna get a little better than they were, even though now we're talking in the playoffs. But
they're gonna have Nurkic for the whole year.
Yeah, that should be big. We'll talk about them in a minute. But I don't see them making the playoffs. I see this as being like maybe we let Harden try to score 40 a game if we're gonna do that. Even though he won't. I just can't imagine. I really can't imagine this ending well. Like, I hope it does. I hope it turns out the way I was talking with Keith Olajuwon.
I don't expect them to keep him. But I'm just saying, if he's there, I just can't imagine him not like wanting to produce. Like,
yeah,
because he's just that. He's a guy that cares about his stats, and he's gonna want to at least be in the postseason and stuff. So that's why. And I think he's one of those players that you could put a team. You could put a team on his back, and he could bring you to the playoffs. I'm not saying he could win a series or something, but he could definitely bring you to the playoffs at least.
I guess if you're looking at it from Harden's perspective, because I'm sure he's personally thought about all these scenarios, right? Like just with himself. But I got to imagine if you're James Harden. No, well, hold on. I got to imagine if you're James Harden, you look at it and go, I really would like to win. Like, I don't want to put the team on my back. I don't want the extra workload. I want I think he wants to win, but I don't know if he necessarily knows how, which is a tough spot to be in. Because, like, it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to take I can take a step back. Oh, I want to be a winner. And it's a totally different thing to fucking be about it. So, very interested. I'm taking the under. I think I'll take the under. They ain't winning more than 35 games.
Yeah.
I don't think.
If he's gone, they're definitely not. But if you think if he was to stay the whole year, they wouldn't win over 35 games.
I think we're looking. So Portland finished with 35 and got the 8 seed. If they make the playoffs, it's only the 8 seed for me. I can't see them getting higher.
I don't expect them to go. I expect the 7 for 8 seed for sure. Yeah. The max is 7. Like, that's me. Like, that's the Harden going insane. But
give me a stat line for him, for Harden, considering he plays.
What did he do? What is his last years?
I'll tell you what the projected is, because I saw that up here. They have a projected points per game for him per 36 minutes. They have him at, drum roll, 33 points per game, 7.4 assists, 1.8 steals.
Oh, I'll go the over 33 points.
You think he's gonna get 33? Last year,
more than
34.
He's gonna get like 35, 36 again.
Luka Doncic or James Harden for your scoring champion this year?
Oh, James Harden. Yeah, and
I think I might take the field, or I take Luka. I think I don't know if he gets the scoring title this year.
I'm extremely confident that James Harden will get it over him. Not saying that Luka can't. I just think Luka doesn't look to only score. Like, I think James Harden, that's his main focus in his game. And I think that he's the most. He has the most. He's given the most volume, and and he's also probably I was gonna say he's the most efficient, but he's not.
The only thing with that is, we know obviously he's going to get his shots up, but the offense might be totally different under the new coach, Silas. We don't know yet. Yeah. We really don't know why he doesn't want to play for them. Like, besides the obvious things that we've mentioned, maybe it's a problem with the coach. Maybe he just looks at the offense and doesn't see it. Maybe he doesn't even want to find out.
Well, at first apparently there was reports that said he didn't want that coach,
right?
And they still brought him in, and that was like one of the big things.
Yeah,
and then that's what made him want the trade or whatever. But I think he looked at it as you could just see the picture. Like there's no like you can't expect this team to do super great. Like you lost your coach, you lost your second star, and I don't think you gain. I don't think John Wall and Russell Westbrook equate to each other. I think you lose in that trade. Um, so I just think he's looking at it as I don't have a chance to win, so I want to bounce.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be around to wait. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
Like prime of his career.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier when I was like, I don't think he wants that load. Like I don't think he wants.
That was the same. That's what really screwed up Kobe. Like in reality, when you look at a lot of people's argument against Kobe is in the prime of his career.
Yeah,
he was winning scoring titles and not championships.
Very true, but he still got some on the back end, and he finished.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
that's what makes
we don't know if that's going to happen with Harden, but I will take the under regardless. You are going to take the over if Harden is there.